Season 19 of The Real Housewives of Orange County has been full of messy friendships, awkward confrontations, and plenty of shade. But episode 10, titled Wine or Champagne, takes things to a new level. This episode makes it crystal clear that Tamra judges' usual cycle of stirring up trouble, apologizing, and then repeating the same behavior isn't working anymore. The women have had enough of her antics, and for the first time in a long while, Tamra isn't being let off the hook so easily. Instead of a quick, sorry, fixing everything, this time the other housewives are demanding more from her. They want growth, accountability, and maybe even a little bit of suffering to go along with her endless apologies. The episode begins with some light mocking of Ryan Boyajian, Tamra's man. Ryan shows off his Cybertruck, which feels like the most predictable car choice possible for him. It's almost a joke that writes itself. The guy who loves tacky jackets and questionable business dealings would be washing a shiny Cybertruck in his driveway. The scene is short, but it sets the tone for how the episode isn't afraid to poke fun at certain cast members. The recap even compares him to Heather Dubrow, pointing out how different they are. While Ryan screams flashy and obvious, Heather tries to present herself as polished, classy, and socially aware. Speaking of Heather, she spends part of this episode recording a podcast with Dylan Mulvaney. Heather talks about wanting to use her platform to amplify other voices, but the irony is clear. Dylan already has millions of followers across social media, while Heather's numbers don't even come close. It almost feels like Dylan is doing Heather a favor by showing up. The scene hints at a bigger storyline brewing about Heather's opinions on social issues and how they might clash with Gretchen in the future. But for now, Heather is still in her element, showing off her Beverly Hills penthouse and hosting a fancy sleepover. Heather invites Emily and Gretchen for this glamorous night. There's even a handsome private butler named Nate who almost steals the show. They sip drinks, chat about life, and enjoy the luxury of Heather's second living room, which is so big it looks like its own apartment. While it's a fun night, the conversations are telling. One major topic is whether Heather is secretly afraid of Tamra. Emily is convinced that Heather tiptoes around Tamra, and she even gets Gretchen and Jenn to see it that way. Heather, though, insists that she's not afraid. She reminds everyone that she was the only one brave enough to call Tamra out to her face in New Orleans. Heather's point makes sense. She might not be scared of Tamra, but she knows how to manage her. After all, Heather's reputation and wealth don't depend on staying in Tamra's good graces. She's in a much safer position than the others, who could lose a lot if things with Tamra go south. While Heather is living it up in Beverly Hills, Tamra is hosting her own trip in Temecula. She invites Shannon, Gina, and Jenn as part of her so-called apology tour. Tamra says she wants to get closer to Jenn and Shannon while using Gina as the middle ground. This setup makes it clear that Tamra is trying to smooth things over, but the truth is she's not ready for the kind of accountability the women are demanding. Shannon shows up to the trip with her signature quirks, including suitcases full of random kitchen items and food. It's classic Shannon. A mix of hilarious, odd, and endearing. But underneath the laughs, you can feel her tension about being around Tamra again. Shannon has always struggled to forgive easily, and the history between her and Tamra makes it even more complicated. The Temecula trip is filled with light moments at first, but it all leads to the big dinner scene, which ends up being the emotional core of the episode. At the table, Tamra brings up the infamous fatty photo, something she had shown earlier in the season. She claims she shared it to show how much Jenn had changed over the years. But to everyone else, it just came off as mean, spirited, and unnecessary. Jenn directly asks Tamra why she would do something like that, and Tamra tries to spin it as proof of her personal growth. Jenn isn't buying it. She calmly but firmly points out that Tamra's actions weren't about Jenn's growth. They were about Tamra's insecurity. This moment is powerful because it flips the usual dynamic. Normally, Tamra can wriggle out of conflict by saying sorry and moving on. But this time, Jenn doesn't accept the apology. Instead, she challenges Tamra to actually mature and stop repeating the same mistakes. You can see Tamra's frustration building as Jenn refuses to let her off the hook. Jenn tells her point blank, "I want you to mature." And that line hits home, not just for Tamra, but for the audience. It sums up exactly what everyone else has been feeling about her behavior for years. The tension grows when Shannon steps in. She calls Tamra out for being the one who consistently goes the lowest in arguments. According to Shannon, Tamra crosses lines no one else does, and everyone is expected to just accept it. The way Shannon frames it, it feels like the women are finally uniting against Tamra's behavior, demanding that she stop hiding behind apologies and actually change. Tamra doesn't help her case by deflecting. Instead of owning up, she doubles down and even drags Gina into it, suggesting that Shannon's drinking is a bigger problem than anyone realizes. It's a classic Tamra move. When cornered, she shifts the focus onto someone else. But this time, it backfires. The dinner ends on a heavy note, with Tamra clearly upset that her old tricks aren't working. Her line, "I apologized. What else do you want from me? Blood," sums up her frustration perfectly. But it also shows that she doesn't really understand what the other women are asking for. They don't want her blood. They want her to stop repeating the same cycle of stirring drama, apologizing, and then doing it all over again. They want real change. And for the first time, Tamra seems shaken by the realization that her friends might not let her off so easily anymore. What makes this episode stand out is that it exposes the cracks in Tamra's usual strategy. Over the years, fans have seen her apologize over and over again without ever really learning from her mistakes. But this time, Jenn and Shannon call her out in ways that stick. The other housewives seem united in holding her accountable, and that could signal a big turning point for the season. If Tamra can't control the narrative anymore, her role in the group could shift in ways she won't like. By the end of Wine or Champagne, Tamra is left frustrated, defensive, and cornered. She doesn't have the easy way out she's used to. And that makes this episode feel like a big wake-up call for her. The other women aren't playing along with her cycle anymore. They're demanding more, and it's about time. This episode might not have had huge explosions or shocking revelations, but it's important because it shows the group shifting their dynamic with Tamra. For once, her apology isn't enough.